Alrighty, everyone. Welcome back to the channel. Boeing Fan 727 here with the one, the only, the Sean. He's just strumming away in the background there because he's now a bass player. And because he is now a bass player, I definitely would indeed rail him hard. Like, bass player? Just saying. But yeah, so we're here in Kaldvann tonight. Sean's just in the background because, well, he is. That's just kind of where he ended up for the night, so.
As a bass player should be.
Yep, as a bass player should be. He's just over there, doing what he does. But, so we're here in Kaldvann, back here in Trondheim. Not much has changed. I really haven't opened the Kaldvann in quite a while. I really haven't opened trains in quite a while. I really have not had any will, motivation, anything to do with trains as of late. I kind of threw the care basket at Sean and said, here, yep, you take it. I don't want it. I don't want it. You take it. It's all yours. You do whatever you want with it. Just, you know, make sure you're doing something productive. And he didn't. He built something that goes to our backstory. So, I mean, it's kind of productive, but nevertheless.
Wait, what the fuck did I do? I realized that I could tell that you started streaming by how hard your internet connection ate shit.
My internet's like, whoa, hold on a second, Chief.
Oh, no, back it up.
No, I'm like, yeah, Sean's just here in the background, and I was talking about,
No.
that I have not touched the Kaldvann in a while. I haven't touched trains. I actually kind of just threw the care basket at Sean, said, here you go, do something productive, and you're like, okay, and then you built something that didn't account for modern operations.
Exactly what you did. Because no, you're not doing the right thing. Like, I just want to build a bridge.
You see, you cut out for most of that. We came back for, I just want to build a bridge! But that sums it up. That sums it up. Like, whatever Sean said got summed up by, I just want to build a bridge. So. But we're here just in Kaldvann, farting around. Like I said, I haven't touched trains in a while. I really just have not wanted to do anything. Plus, by the time I get home at night from work, there really isn't a whole lot of time to do anything. I can maybe play a couple of quick games for an hour or two, and then I gotta go to bed. You know, wake up and go waste more time at the airport. But hopefully, things are looking up in terms of job. Might have a career change coming up relatively soon. Also, submitting my application to move out of my house until it can be cleaned because there's mold everywhere in the basement, and that's just not good for my health. So told my mom today, and that conversation went a lot better than I anticipated. I figured she would have freaked on me, but she didn't, so that was actually kind of good. So what else? Oh yeah, I took a trip to New York City, saw my sister, and it's kind of why I'm starting to feel a little bit of Kaldvannisms, you know, after looking at New York and such. Maybe have a little motivation to work on a city after I was in one of America's largest cities and most densely populated cities. So, but the big thing is I need to start finishing up the terrain in the immediate area, getting a lot of the mountains, especially outward, kind of finished up, because I want to finish up this island, and then I really want to start pushing on towards the main island, which, other than I believe Narvik, hasn't really been worked on at all. Like, even Narvik's still in a fairly uncompleted state. You have the town here, but other than that, like, Narvik really hasn't been touched. Nothing is really going on. There's just a hodgepodge of buildings kind of hanging around, which is fine. It's how I want the town. I need to get some farms built up, because I was actually typing maybe a week or two ago the history of Kaldvann still. I was working on Chapter 2, which is the first few months of Kaldvann's technical history. which I guess I'll pull up here, which I haven't finished it yet because, like I said, I've been busy with work. If it wants to load. Yeah, so I think one of my last Kaldvann streams I talked about the Orkinger voyage, which took place in 17th of April, 1586, landing on the island and such. And then, yeah, the first months, which would have been June through December 1586. And it talks a bit about establishing the first settlements, in the first buildings that were built on the island, or, well, the island over there, the mainland, or the secondary island. And what crops they would have been growing here in early Kaldvann, which will translate, into modern day Kaldvann, as they are still growing those crops. So I believe the crops that I said that would have been planted were pretty typical to this kind of region. I looked up a lot of the crops that are grown in Iceland and such, or what the Vikings would have used in Norway per se, like what these people would have had to have at their disposal. And the big one was potatoes. There's a lot of kind of crops that don't really require a ton, I would say. But potatoes is a big one. Onions, beans, cabbage, and barley. Barley was considered a rich crop per se. So that's kind of the bigger one that they wanted to bring along. And then, of course, the livestock that would have come over later on, the first voyage back to get more supplies to bring over. So I kind of want to focus on the actual farming of the land, which there will be some farming out here on this the settlement island and such, but we need to get the actual terrain figured out, get the line figured out as we go through. And I imagine around here on the main island, or the settlement island, I'm sorry, a lot of the farms will not transport via rail. They might have
Saber, you're a fucking cat.
Saber is indeed a cat, Sean. What is he up to these days? Oh, I think Sean has left the building. Anyways, while Sean has left the building, we're going to sit here, and I'm going to go ahead and start raising the terrain up to a base height that I want. Because I kind of want most of the terrain to sit here at this pretty uniform height, and then I'm going to work off of it. Kind of be this weird ridge line, per se. I'll work on that here in a bit. So we do have these long prongs that kind of come down off the volcano, or the mountain here, which would have been a volcano but is now dormant. As many of the mountains here would have been formed, through volcanic activity. So actually, that volcano in Iceland is still erupting. For those who don't care or know, it is indeed still doing so. But in terms of Kaldvann, like I said, I haven't worked on it. I haven't painted anything. You got Saber, Sean? I'll take that as a no.
Alright, small update. Saber isn't a cat, he's just a jackass.
I was gonna say, I asked you if Saber really a cat, and I heard the distinct sound of headset going down. And I'm like, I was talking, and all I could hear in the background was, and he ran away when I opened it! And it kind of just, made me chuckle, because that was kind of amusing.
Not only did he run away when I opened it, I followed him down the hall to the formal living room, and there he is, laying on the ground, being a bastard.
Yep.
And so I approach him, and he runs over to the dining room table.
Uh-huh.
I chased him around the dining room table, probably made a good 2 laps.
Okay.
I was making good NASCAR time on that shit.
Oh, good. Good.
And then I had to pull over for a pit stop, and in the middle of the pit stop, Jackass takes off down the fucking hall, and so he goes out of the formal living room. I go out the formal living room. I turn out the light behind me because I'm not a heathen, and I look over to the main living room, and there's Jackass having turned around to see if I'm still following him,
Oh, what a little bastard.
flipping his shit when he saw that I was in fact following him. And so he takes off towards me and then makes a hard right down the hall. And like, I mean, the cat's going Mach speed. He broke a couple of windows, and he shoots off into Mama's room.
Oh.
And I chase him there, and I get to the bed. Are you meowing at my door now? Piss off! I'm not your dad.
You should just tell your cat to piss off.
I sure did.
And did the fact that you're not the cat's dad?
Yep.
Oh, okay.
Anyway, so his ass is sticking out from under the bed, and I didn't grab him, but I was able to whack its tail just to let him know that I was displeased with him.
Displeased.
And and then as I'm coming back into my room, my mom, who is laying in said bed, like, isn't he just a little turd? Like, I've had my door wide open, and then he goes scratching at yours. Yeah, and then I open the door and he runs away.
That's a little
And
asshole.
now he's not even scratching at the door. He's meowing like a bastard.
Yeah, Tobes doesn't do that. Tobes, he doesn't do that. This morning I woke up and I was really warm. You know, because last night I was very cold, so I put on a sweater. I'm like, oh, okay, I'll take off my sweater. But I'm like, wait a second. My up is not warm. My down is warm. Why is my down warm? Why are my legs warm? Why is like my like midsection down really warm? And you know, look up and that's cat curled up. I mean, he was comfy. I mean, that cat
Comfy.
Oh, he was comfy. Like comfy. He was living up in there. And I'm like, dude, it is hotter than a mother outside right now. You cannot be laying right there. And he didn't give two fucks. Honey Badger don't care. Toby don't give a shit. So finally, I moved him with my leg, and he just kind of like slopped to the other side and looked at me. He's like, I'm unmoved. Unfucking moved. And he just continued to lay there. And finally, I'm like, alright, dude. Piss break. I gotta get up. And he kind of looked at me, and he just stared blankly. He's like, while you're there, you can fill the sink. So I did. And that was my morning with Tobes.
Nice.
Now he just occasionally comes over and wants pets, which came at a very rough time while I was doing my race at Atlanta, which I did win. Wow. Which was a good race. I'll tell you about it after. Go ahead.
Yeah, so like, you always complain that like, why doesn't my cat do that when Saber like hops up in my lap?
Yeah.
Which is very adorable, but the problem is he doesn't even do it as frequently as he used to. He now does it like, honestly, I think that last night was the first time he's done it in about 2 weeks.
Wow.
And what you just heard is the kind of bullshit that I have to deal with out of him in the interim. The only affection I ever get out of that cat these days is when I have to go take a shit. Because I will go take a shit, and I will start either flipping through memes or doing a Sudoku, and I'll hear, meow! 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 That's why I let the stupid bastard cat in. And then he'll come up, he'll rub against my legs for a second, and then he'll occasionally, he'll go right back to the door, and I'll flick at his tail, and occasionally he'll come back, and other times he'll just sit. Very rarely he'll do a flop on my feet, and then I get to actually love on him.
Oh, the flops.
But like lately, he just comes in, he kind of rubs my leg, and then he fucking leaves again. And depending on how long the shit break is, he'll do this multiple times.
Jesus.
Like he'll go back in just to make sure. Oh, it's just Sean shitting. All right, I'm gone. Bye.
Wow.
He's a little fucking bastard.
Yeah, your cat kind of sounds like a dickhead.
He is. I need a cat of my own.
You need
One who knows what affection is.
you need a Toby. Actually, I had a pretty wholesome moment with a Toby today.
Oh, did you now? Do
Yep.
tell.
So Toby does not generally like to be held. It's kind of one of his least favorite activities. He'll tolerate it for a short moment, but after a while he's like, okay. Which I'm like,
Most
alright.
cats don't.
Yeah, I'm like, alright. I give him the option.
Saber's about the same way.
Yeah, about the time he starts to be like, alright, I'm like, alright, cool. You know, I had a couple of cats, like, you know, my cat Ebony, which, that was yesterday. My dog, back in 2014, I think the year was hit by a car. And then the following year, on the same day, my cat was hit by a car. Same day, July 12th. Like, so yesterday was National Don't Let Your Animal Outside Day. Cause like Christ, but yeah, no, my cat Ebony, I could just drape her around my shoulders and do whatever, cause that cat was just docile as hell. But Topes today, I was getting ready to go to my aunt's, cause I was gonna take my cousin to work, cause my uncle is now back with my aunt, which, yeah.
Hang on. Time. He's back?
Yep. So
What the
what?
fuck you mean he's back?
So what? All right. What was the last thing I told you?
Last I heard, you had the most awkward grill out of your life, and then he just fucking packed his bags and shit bricked it out of there.
Okay. So you're up to speed. Yeah. No. So he's back because my aunt kind of realized that she really still does like him and misses him and stuff like that, and I'm like, you know, I mean, Dave's a good guy. Like I said, I won't deny that. He's a great guy. Like, you know, he is a very, very nice man. He does treat my aunt very well. But after all that, I'm like, huh. Okay, so.
Have a little of standards as a tree.
A little? Just a little? I think we're going to need a bit more there, Chief.
As a tree.
We're going to need more than a treat. We're needing a feast.
You cooked the damn feast.
I did, and it was awkward as hell. I mean, you know, like I said, if this is what my aunt wants, then that's what she wants. I'm not going to argue with her. But, yeah, like I said, it was a little like, you know, I thought you were sticking to your guns because what I fear is, you know, she's going to take him back, you know, realizing she misses him, and then, you know, he's going to go back into the same pattern where, you know, he's not doing anything around the house, and so on and so forth, you know. I just hope that if he stays, they're able to truly work on getting things done, because I don't want to go through this again.
Amen.
You know, it's kind of a bit annoying just because everything that did occur, like, you know, like I said, I'm happy he's back. He's a nice guy. My birthday buddy's back because we share the same birthday. But at the same point, you know, I just don't want my aunt to settle just because, you know, she doesn't want to try again. You know, I hope that, yeah, you know, things do change. Speaking of Toby, kitty, what are you gonna do?
Oh, kitty cat.
Bring me the face. I'm gonna pet it. Come here.
Also, sorry, I need to interrupt with some important information.
Oh.
Alright, so I'm in our DMs, right? You know, on Discord, because that's where the call is. I look down my list of friends, my DMs, and I see one of my buddies has his custom status literally just set to playing, watching hentai.
Oh.
I felt that information needed to come out there.
Toby, I can't see the screen to the Tobias. Oh, I guess we're not route building anymore. My cat has decided that's illegal. No, get your face out of the drugs. Get your face out of my Advil.
Oh, he didn't want to snort cocaine.
Tobias, no, we're not doing the drugs. We're not doing the drugs.
He was a stray cat. He comes from the streets. He loves him some fucking coke.
Say he does come from Sanford of all places, and they're not known to be the best of towns. All right, come on, get in. Good boy.
Oh, meth
Druggy kitty. My little druggy, my little druggy. That's cursed. Anyways, but yeah, so he's back. Yeah, so I was going over to take my cousin Ryan to work because my uncle drove all the way back from South Dakota. Like, he drove all the way to South Dakota. And
Just
then
to turn the fuck around and come
after
back?
a week, turns around and comes back.
Wow.
I know, I'm like, that's a haul.
What the fuck?
I mean, I've driven from St. Louis to Maine, and then, 5-6 days later, turned around, came back, had the Crown Vic for like 2 weeks before I drove out. Yeah, that was my first, like, true ride in the Crown Vic, was, like, road tripping to Maine. Like, I hadn't even figured out, like, most of how the car, like, handled and stuff like that, and I'm on a road trip. 26 hours.
That's just fucking dangerous.
Like, I had the temp plates still on the car, which I found amusing because going through Massachusetts, they do the pay-by-plate.
Uh-huh.
Can't bill me because it's no plates on the car. The front one is because it.
Oh, you did fucking toll fraud. Let's go.
Yep, because the front.
Toll fraud.
Because it's just a temporary tag. It's not registered to me. They can't bill it to anyone. I believe so, anyways. Because I never received a bill. Because I distinctly remember that. Because I was like, oh shit, pay by plate. I checked and checked and checked and checked and nothing. So if you ever want to, not pay tolls, just go buy a new car.
The real life hack is to stop outside of Massachusetts and put a piece of cardboard where your license plate's supposed to go.
Yeah.
Stonks.
People generally put like those license plate tints over. Actually, that was funny. Coming home from work one afternoon, or coming back from Portland or something. I can't remember what I was doing up there, but I was coming back from Portland, and I was in traffic, and there was this fucking minivan. It was driving like a piece of shit, and I saw the license plate barely because it had one of those tints over it, and it said ACAB. All cops are bastards on it. And the guy was driving like an absolute piece of shit. Like, this guy was driving so ridiculously. I'm like, yeah, all cops aren't bastards, buddy. You are just a shit driver. Like, I can imagine this is the kind of guy that sits there and goes, oh, the cops target me, because da-da-da-da-da. Like, it was just like a white woman driving the car. They're like, so cops target me or whatever, and da-da-da-da. And it's like, no, you're just a shit driver.
She has a Karen cut.
No, she looks like she does meth for a living. Works at meth.
Oh.
Yeah, works at meth.
Does meth for a living.
Yeah, on her resume, it just works at meth. She puts the meth in Methuen, Massachusetts. I still appreciate that sign. I still appreciate on my road trip to New York, we kept seeing the signs for Haverhill, which is Haver Hill, but there's no space between Haver and Hill, so it's Haverhill.
That's bullshit.
Yep, there's no space between Haver and Hill. It's Haverhill. But as a kid, I always said Haver Hill, and no one corrected me until I went to Massachusetts. And boy,
Alright, you New Englanders gotta cut it out with these fucking bullshit ass goddamn names. You got fucking Worcester, you got fucking
No. Worcester is in Ohio. Worcester is in Massachusetts. There is a Worcester, W-O-O-S-T-E-R, outside of Columbus, going up 71, I believe it is, heading towards Cleveland, and that's where I used to stop to take a rest on the rest stop in Worcester. Like, I have slept at that rest stop so many times.
Alright, so what I'm hearing is there's one in Ohio which is spelled correctly, and then there's one in New England which is spelled like bullshit.
Yep, Worcester, Worcester.
Fuck you.
Which, I mean...
Fuck New England collectively for that one.
So, if we want to be really technical, Sean, so, you can thank the British for that one.
Fuck them too!
Yep, because, so, our accent is just traditional English.
Yeah.
Yep. Which is what I learned from my sister because, that's her big thing. She's into dialects and languages and stuff. Like, I learned the French in Quebec are speaking the true original French. And those pieces of shit in France are not. They're speaking the higher, posh French. So they're not even speaking their true to roots own language.
Oh my god. The fucking French and British are doing the exact same thing, and they hate each other so much for it, and I think that is goddamn hilarious.
It's like those two girls in high school that like fought each other, not like physically, but were like rivals.
They had the exact same wardrobe.
But like one's pants were
pissy.
like from like Old Navy, but the other one's from like it was like Limited Too. That was like a store back in the day that my sister used to go to.
Sorry, I really thought this was heading towards one of them had pants from Old Navy and the other had pants from Harbor Freight, and I was about to lose my fucking mind.
I mean, that is also the equivalent as well. So one had pink capris from Old Navy, and the other one had pink overalls from fucking Harbor Freight. Although, to be fair, Ingville wears pink overalls for Candace, and that's pretty kick-ass.
Alright, but it's Candace. It's not a high school. They can do whatever the fuck they want.
Oh yeah, Candace can literally just do whatever the fuck they want.
And they do.
Yeah, and that's fine.
Uh-huh.
They, fucking did Break My Stride, but in Norwegian. Which I think Ingville is still I think Ingville is still working on because I mean they sing the song, but they changed the lyrics a little bit to make it more like Trondheim-esque or Candace-esque, but you get the same idea. I think Ingville is working on a version of Little Piece of Heaven by Avenged Sevenfold for Candace to do, because she was listening to my Spotify, which apparently she listens to quite a lot.
Okay.
And she heard that song by Avenged Sevenfold, and it just inspired her.
Alright, Jaden, I need you to do something very important.
What?
I need you to tell Ingvild that we need a Norwegian Candace version of Fortunate Son.
Oh no! Oh no!
Please.
Oh no!
I require this.
I will speak with her about that. I will see what she says, but I also kind of really want a Norwegian version of either Energia or Tractor.
Yes! Yeah!
I would much prefer Tractor. Whichever one. I also kind of want a Norwegian version of Du Hast. Like, I want that to, like, that Energia or Tractor by Ruskaja has to come before Du Hast, but, Du Hast could be pretty simple to, make a version of, because...
Echo!
Yeah.
Hello!
Du
Hast!
Du Hast.
Du
Du Hast me. I love that one. When I go to Switzerland or Norway or, somewhere with big fjords and canyons, I'm just gonna shout "do" and see if it works. Du hast. But but she is doing a version of "Little Piece of Heaven" by Avenged Sevenfold, and I'm not sure if she's still working on it. Because aside from finding out she's getting her first COVID shot, which I'm happy for, and the fact that she's coming to Maine next year, and that's news to me. I mean, it's not news to me, but she seems to be very eager to do so, and that kind of warms my heart. We really haven't talked a whole lot because, just haven't had the time, and she'd been busy with work, which work apparently went well. Now she's done for the summer. Classes start back up again. And then now she's up in Tromsø with Sigurd, because that's where his family's from, so she's up in the northern part of Norway. She sent me some beautiful pictures. I will send them to you, because they are gorgeous. So the first one is actually the midnight sun.
Okay. That's pretty kick-ass.
But that's Norway. That's up by Tromsø, so the tippity top. That's in the region of Hammerfest, I would say.
Hammerfest! Let's go!
It's like west of Hammerfest.
West Hammerfest!
There was hammers and there was festing. Festing hammers.
God, that town pleases me so much.
I will take you to Hammerfest, Sean.
One day.
We will sail in.
My hammer?
You can bring your hammer.
Okay.
If not, we'll just go to their Harbor Freight.
We'll go to the Harbor Freight. We can find it right next to the pink overalls. It's fine.
So Harbor Freight in Norwegian, that would be shit. Because I think it's either, I forget if it's Vic, because a lot of the towns with Vic, I believe, is Bay or something like that. I'm forgetting off the top of my head.
Yeah, I got you.
Because I believe freight is gods. Because, you know, the freight train station in Hell is God's Expedition.
Havenfracht.
What? Oh, Haven!
Havenfracht.
Yep.
I like it.
Yep.
Alright, so we're gonna go to the Havenfracht and we're gonna
We're going to the Havenfracht.
Okay, yeah, we're gonna go to the Havenfracht and we're going to find the hammer next to the Rosa, some big fuck off word in Norwegian.
Send me the word.
It's like Kjeldresser or something like that.
Yeah, send me the word.
Yeah, it's this one's funky.
Yeah, Kjeledresser. Rosa Kjeledresser.
We'll find the hammer next. We'll go to the Havenfracht and we'll find the hammer.
The Rosa Kjeledresser. Go to the Havenfracht for the hammer, Rosa Kjeledresser. They got rope.
Let's see. Yeah, they have dough.
Do they have any sheet metal there?
Yeah, they have metal splitter.
Do they have blowtorches?
Blaseblinker.
Yep.
Blaseblinker. Sorry, there's no L in there.
And do they have balloons?
They also have Blase Jobber.
Okay.
Alright, balloons, you said?
Yep.
Yeah, they have belongers.
I love that word! I love that word! Oh, I love that word! Yes!
I'll send it to you.
Oh, I love it! Belongers! Oh, yes! Oh, Norway, yes! Oh. Alright, so Sean, we're gonna take our hammer, our Rosa Kjeledresser, and our belongers, along with everything else listed, and we're gonna go refloat the Bismarck.
The Tirpitz is the one in Norway.
Well, they sank the Bismarck in the North Sea, so it's nearby.
It's closer to France. I don't want to go to France.
I thought it was in the North Sea.
No, it was making a run for France.
Ah.
It's in the Atlantic somewhere.
Oh, I thought
Well,
it was
not in the Atlantic, but like it's in the approaches.
Oh, what was the one? I believe there was a ship sunk in Tromsø. Actually, was that the Tirpitz or
The sister ship to the Bismarck, the Tirpitz, was in one of the Norwegian fjords somewhere.
Hold on, I'm looking for.
It just says Atlantic Ocean TM, which tells me exactly fucking nothing. No, it pretty much is in the Atlantic here. I'll send you a image.
Let me see here. I'm checking here. Hmm. Trying to see, because I'm looking at the Turpits right now. Bogenfjord. I believe that's, yeah. Narvik. So yeah, it's going to be in the region. Lofoten Islands, Altafjord. So yeah, that's going to be in the.
Akoi, uh, Tromsø,
Yep.
Tromsø, yeah,
Yep.
Tromsø. It's opposite side of the island from Tromsø.
Yeah, I was gonna say actually, there's still a crater I believe near where the ship was moored.
There
Um,
are a lot of craters near where the ship was moored.
yeah, the British weren't good with aiming.
The British so you want to know what actually ended up sinking the Tirpitz?
Um, sure.
So aside from the shit pot of fucking bombs that they dropped on the damn thing,
Oh, the Bismarck was moored in Grimstad Fjord. Okay. Oh, and it
um,
sailed around Iceland. All right, go ahead, Sean. Sorry, I was looking at your photo finally.
anyway, so they it probably could have just moved out of the way, or at least I think it did. It might not have had power at that point,
I think
but
it was there because it was being worked on. I think that's what was happening.
well, they moved it around a bunch because the fucking British kept sending their goddamn planes after the fucking thing, and it was more of a fleeting being rather than an actual threat. Basically, it existing there forced the British to, tie up resources, making sure that it, didn't run off and do something terrible.
Yeah, they were just trying to make sure it stayed in one location.
Yeah. Anyway, but so they threw many bombing raids at this thing, and finally one hit, and it was going down, but they weren't really all that worried because it's in a fjord and it's really shallow, and we shouldn't have any issues, just refloating the damn thing. Except for the fact that, like a year or so of god awful fucking bombing raids meant that the soil underneath the Tirpitz was so cratered out by fucking bomb impacts that
Yep, it rolled.
it just went sploosh.
Capsized. Because I believe right near the site where it capsized, there's a memorial, which actually I'd be kind of keen to go to if I ever went up to Norway and managed to get that far north. Um,
Mm.
yeah, I was gonna say because I was looking up something. I don't remember what I was doing one night, but I think I was looking up something for Brothens, and I ended up coming across the Tirpitz. I actually think I was looking up something. No, I was looking up something in relation to Kaldvann because I was looking up. I think just what Norway was doing during World War II, so I can, write my damn history to kind of, be somewhat accurate and realistic. And that's right. So the Tirpitz is sunk up that way. I imagine they was probably removed. They probably had a cleanup effort and stuff like that to get it out of there. Either that or, you know, I don't know. I don't know what happened to it.
Wreck of Tirpitz remained in place till after the war, when a joint German-Norwegian company began salvage operations. Work lasted from 1948 until 1957.
Wow. It took a long time. A joint Norwegian-German company. That's awkward.
Hmm.
Yeah, I thought.
In the aftermath of the attack, 82 men trapped in the upturned hull were rescued by cutting through the exposed bottom. Figures for the death toll vary from 950 to 1204. Approximately 200 survivors of the sinking were transferred to the heavy cruiser Lutzow in January 1945. Performance of the Luftwaffe in the defense of the Tirpitz was heavily criticized after a loss. Major Heinrich Erler, the commander of Jagdgeschwader 5, that was not how you pronounce it. We're gonna try again. Yagshwata 5.
Belonger.
Yagshwata. Fun word.
Belonger.
Was blamed for the Luftwaffe's failures to intercept the British bombers. He was court-martialed in Oslo and threatened with the death penalty.
Oof.
Evidence was presented that his unit had failed to help the Kriegsmarine when requested. He was sentenced to 3 years in prison, but was released after a month, demoted, and reassigned to an ME-262 fighter squadron in Germany. Oehler was exonerated by further investigations, which concluded that poor communications between the Kriegsmarine and the Luftwaffe had caused the fiasco. The air crews had not been informed that Tirpitz had moved off Hakoya 2 weeks before the attack.
Oof. Gotta hate it when communication breaks down.
Nah.
Been suffering a fair bit of that at work sometimes.
The operation of the final bomber formation that sank the Tirpitz was called Operation Catechism.
Yep.
That's fucking awesome.
That's quite the name. Like, if your boat that you have sailing around got sunk by a formation called that, I think it was worth it, honestly.
Yeah.
That's pretty, it's pretty epic.
They threw many,
They threw a lot of shit at that boat.
yeah, so we have Operation Source, Operation Tungsten, Operations Planet, Brawn, Tiger Claw, Mascot, and Goodwood. Paravane, Obviate, and then Catechism.
God, fuck, jeez.
The fucking British, man. Like, sometimes they pop off on naming shit, and then sometimes they don't.
Goodwood.
I mean, let's talk about the destroyer HMS Glowworm for a second.
That's a name.
That's a name. Kick-ass little destroyer. That one sank shortly after ramming the Admiral Hipper.
Why did it ram the Admiral Hipper?
So it was on escort duty, and it found a pair of German destroyers, and being an angry little bastard, it chased them down, kind of figuring that larger fleet units were in the area, and they were probably trying to draw them towards it, and visibility was terrible. And so the Hipper pops up out of fucking nowhere and blasts them. And at this point, the destroyer is literally just wailing. Something happened to the ship's siren, so it's just kind of, and their main armament got neutered pretty heavily, and so they just charged down the Admiral Hipper, and they rammed the fucking piss out of it.
Did they win?
No.
Oh, poor little boat.
Basically, it bounced off the side.
Oh.
And then it sank shortly thereafter. They pulled some survivors from the water, but I mean they did damage the Hipper enough that it had to turn back.
Okay. I mean, I see this as a partial W. I give them like an N.
I mean, like strategically, it's technically a victory because.
N for notable.
N for notable.
N for notable and noble. Noble cause.
It was indeed. Like, the captain of the Hipper did send a message through the Red Cross to commend the Glowworm.
You know, that's some classy shit right there.
No, like, there were some classy motherfuckers on either side of the naval battle in the Atlantic.
That was pretty classy, I do have to say.
Yeah, let me find the HMS Glowworm article. Let me double check my information here. Three ships of the Royal Navy have borne the name HMS Glowworm.
Isn't that kind
Whilst
of
two more were planned? What the fuck?
bad luck to read?
No, I mean it's kind of traditional.
Oh, I think it's only if it sinks.
No, it's not if even if it sinks. I mean, well,
No,
like
I'm pretty sure in maritime lore it is bad luck to reuse a ship's name. Like I'm almost fairly positive in my maritimisms.
the
Uh,
British did it all the damn time.
well, that might explain a bit.
Not really. All right, so Glowworm was briefly the name of a coastal destroyer launched on 12th of December 1906 and ended up being renamed HMS TB7, sold in 1921. Didn't sink. HMS Glowworm 1916, an insect-class gunboat,
Oh Jesus
launched
Christ!
on the 5th of February 1916, sold in 1928. Did not sink. HMS Glowworm H-92, a G-class destroyer launched on the 22nd of July 1935, sunk on the 8th of April 1940 by the German heavy cruiser Admiral Hipper off of Norway. Glowworm was allocated to a G-class destroyer under construction at the William Denny Shipyard in Dumbarton in 1945. The vessel was originally called HMS Guinevere, but was renamed in 1945 to HMS Glowworm and renamed again in October to HMS Gift. Construction was cancelled on the 1st of December 1945 before completion. Glowworm was allocated in October 1945 to a similar G-class destroyer under construction by the John L. Thornycroft and Company Limited, and originally was called HMS Gift. Construction was canceled on the 12th of December 1945 before completion.
Hmm.
Look, they even have a little badge for it.
I will show this on stream. Aw.
Alright, final battle. On the morning of the 8th of April 1940, Glowworm was on her way to rejoin Renown when she encountered the German destroyers Z-11, Bernd von Arnim, and Z-18, Hans Ludemann, in the heavy fog before 8 a.m. Destroyers were part of a German naval detachment led by the heavy cruiser Admiral Hipper on its way to land troops at Trondheim as part of the German invasion of Norway. Glowworm opened fire, and the German destroyers attempted to disengage, signaling for help. The request was soon answered by Admiral Hipper, which spotted the Glowworm at 0950. Hipper initially had difficulty in distinguishing Glowworm from von Arnim, but opened fire 8 minutes later at a range of 8,400 meters with her 203mm guns. Glowworm was hit by Hipper's force salvo, and she started making smoke. She turned into her own smoke in an attempt to break visual contact with Hipper, but the cruiser's radar-directed guns were not affected by the smoke. When the destroyer emerged from her own smoke, the range was now short enough that the cruiser's 10.5cm guns could now fire. Glowworm's radio room, bridge, and forward 4.7-inch gun were all destroyed, and she received additional hits in the engine room, the captain's day cabin, and finally the mast. As this crashed down, it caused a short circuit of the wiring, causing the ship's siren to start a banshee wail. At 10:10, Lieutenant Commander Gerard Broadmead Roop fired 5 torpedoes from one mounting at a range of 800 meters, but all missed because Captain Helmuth Hay had kept Hipper's bow pointed at Glowworm throughout the battle to minimize his risk from torpedoes. The destroyer fell back through her smoke screen to buy time to get her second torpedo mount working, but Hay followed Glowworm through the smoke to finish her off before she could fire the rest of the torpedoes. The two ships were now very close when Hipper emerged from the smoke and Roop ordered a hard turn to starboard to ram the cruiser. Hipper was slow to answer her helm, and Glowworm struck the cruiser just after the anchor. The collision broke off Glowworm's bow, and the rest of the ship scraped along Hipper's side, gouging open several holes in the latter's hull and destroying her forward starboard torpedo mounting. One German sailor was knocked overboard by the collision. Hipper took on some 500 tons of water before the leaks could be isolated, but was not seriously damaged. Glowworm was on fire when she drifted clear and her boilers exploded at 10:24, taking 109 of her crew with her.
Hmm.
Admiral Hipper hove to in order to rescue her man overboard and Glowworm survivors. The German sailor was not found, but 40 British sailors were recovered, although at least 6 later died of their wounds. Lieutenant Ramsey, the senior surviving officer, told his rescuers that neither the helm nor the emergency rudder were manned when the ships collided, so the destroyer's turn towards Hipper was probably accidental. German accounts only mention 4 torpedoes fired by Glowworm, but British accounts say that all 10 were fired. This was confirmed by photographic evidence taken after the collision, which showed all of the torpedo tubes empty. Roop, who drowned when he could no longer hang on to a rope whilst being pulled up the side of the cruiser, was posthumously awarded the Victoria Cross, thus becoming the first VC recipient of the Second World War. The award was justified in part by the recommendation of Captain Hay, who wrote to the British authorities via the Red Cross, giving a statement of the valiant courage Roop had shown when engaging a much superior ship in close battle. Ramsey was also awarded DSO, which stands for Distinguished Service Order. Both awards were made after the end of the war.
Hmm. Jeez.
And to give you an idea of, the fucking range of this shit.
Oof.
That's the range you're looking at. That's the bow of the Admiral Hipper pointed dead on. The glowworm is making smoke, so it's not smoking from hits. It is attempting to conceal itself.
Yeah. I did find this, by the way, in terms of naming a boat and renaming a boat.
Mm-hmm.
If you're renaming a boat, it consists of 6 parts. Removing every trace of the old name is step 1. Step 2, you need to perform a purging ceremony. Step 3, perform a renaming ceremony, making a sacrifice and appeasing the 4 wind gods, and then toasting the new name. That's step 6. But is it bad luck to reuse?
I don't think so.
Can boat names? Yeah, several boats can be used the same name because watercraft can have a home number. Several boats can use the same name even if they are not the same model. Okay.
I mean, think about the American aircraft carriers. How many different USS Enterprises have we had now?
Do we still have
3.
Is that 3? Okay.
I think the most. Oh, let's see. USS Enterprise. Yeah, we still have one. Oh, wait,
Okay.
no, decommissioned.
Wow.
USS Enterprise CVN 65 is a decommissioned U.S. aircraft carrier. She was the first nuclear-powered aircraft carrier and the 8th U.S. naval vessel to bear the name.
The 8th. Holy shit.
Yeah. With at least 3 preceding carriers. Or 2 preceding carriers. CB, I think 12 and CB whatever. I think CB6 was the original Enterprise. List of the ships of the U.S. Navy named Enterprise. USS Enterprise, 1775. A Continental Navy sloop captured from the British, burned to prevent recapture in 1777. Enterprise, 1776. A Continental Navy schooner, formerly a privateer,
Scooter.
used in Chesapeake Bay as a convoy and patrol ship until 1777. USS Enterprise, 1799, a schooner that fired the first shots in the First Barbary War. USS Enterprise, 1831, a schooner stationed primarily in South America to patrol and protect commerce.
Schooner.
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 Oh, Good news. We're already through the schooners. USS Enterprise, 1874, a steam-powered sloop of war used for surveying, patrolling, and training until 1909. USS Enterprise, SP-790, a motorboat, 1917 to 1919, used in World War I as a non-commissioned section patrol craft. USS Enterprise, CV-6, an aircraft carrier from 1938 to 1947, the most decorated U.S. ship of World War II.
Wow.
USS Enterprise, CVN-65, a nuclear-powered aircraft carrier, 1961 to 2017.
Wow.
USS Enterprise, CVN-80, a Gerald R. Ford aircraft carrier, under construction and scheduled to enter service by 2028.
Okay, so it's coming along. Yeah, let's say I know there was something about the names with the boats, because I mean the Titanic's coming along and stuff like that, and that name carries a bad omen.
I'm
with
about
it.
to say, like, I mean, I think it's like it's just a case of like what kind of juju the name carries. Like the Russians are never gonna name another ship Kamchatka.
Yeah, no.
Do you know about the Russian ship Kamchatka?
I've heard the name. I know you have told me. I have forgotten.
I'm going to send you a video for a pair of videos for your amusement at a later date.
10-4.
It'll give you a solid like hour and a half of good quality entertainment. Let's see here.
Yeah, like I don't think we're gonna see another Costa Concordia. I don't think we're gonna see another one of those. I would love to say we're not gonna see another Titanic.
But we are.
Yep. I don't think we'll see a what was it? Oh, Britannic. We're not gonna see another one of those. I hope not. I hope there's not another one.
Probably not gonna ever see another Lusitania.
Nope, never gonna see another Lusitania. Never gonna see a Bismarck.
Nope.
Oh boy. Oh boy, I will have to watch that. Also, this mountain's coming out very nice. I'm doing a good job in this mountain. Like that. So I gotta work over here just a touch, but look at that. Very nice. Yeah, but I knew there was something. Like I said, because growing up here, not gonna say I'm very well renowned in my maritimisms, just because me and the ocean just don't go together. I'm not a big fan of the water. But, growing up here, you hear things, and I remember there being something about the name of a ship that it is very, very. Naming your ship is a very particular process. And if for whatever reason you have to rename your ship, it is not good. Like, but that's what it was. It was renaming the ship. Because if you can't just rename your ship. Even if it's like a small craft of some sort, you just can't go and rename it. It's just not allowed. But that's what it was. Oh, there'll never be another Andrea Gale. That was the boat that went down during the perfect storm in 91, 92. But maritimisms is very, very interesting. Like, I've always loved the one, you know what they say about seagulls, right, Sean?
What do I say about seagulls?
Well, they suck, first of all. But, also, they're fried dough stealing motherfuckers.
Indeed.
But they say seagulls are just the souls of sailors that have moved on. That didn't quite make it to where they needed to be, so they ended up as gulls. Just lost souls of sailors.
Man, can you imagine being a sailor, dying at sea, and being reincarnated as one of the biggest assholes of the animal kingdom.
Yep.
Like, not even like, assholes like wasps are assholes. Assholes are just clearly chaotic evil. But like seagulls. Actually, no. They can't even be like wasps can't even technically be classified as evil because they don't really have any will. But seagulls are truly evil because they clearly think through their actions before they shit on your forehead and steal your French fries.
Fucking hate that.
All right. In this essay, I will.
No, fucking seagulls, like, you know, they get made fun of and stuff like that. People think they're not very intelligent. They're actually very cunning. They're very cunning birds. I mean, think about it. Why would they exert energy going out and hunting for food when they can just hang around humans and prey off our ignorance or prey off our garbage or our waste? And they can just wait. You know, seagulls generally don't go feeding at high tide, they wait for the tide to go out. And then they find clams, and they find crabs, and they find things that are now exposed by the water that, you know, didn't get taken out with the water, and then they go eat. But predominantly, seagulls wait for humans. You know, I will say crows. Crows are very intelligent. Like,
Yes.
Ravens as well. Oh, ravens and crows are super intelligent. But you know, people that's generally a very commonly accepted fact that crows and ravens are just massively intelligent. There's no arguing it. Seagulls, on the other hand, I don't think they get enough credit for the level of intelligence that they have. Yeah. But they are often revered as the souls of sailors, you know, that didn't quite move on to the afterlife. So there's your little interesting tidbit for the day.
That is indeed a tidbit.
It is a tid, and it is a bit. And if you go to Tim Hortons, it's a Timbit.
Oh my god.
Seriously.
On that note, I'm gonna be back.
10-4. I'm gonna sit here and build Kaldvann. So there's your history lesson on the Turpits for the day, and there's talking about Sailorisms and folklore and superstitions. But so what are we doing here on screen? I guess I'll talk a little bit about this. What are we doing here? So we're up here at this large mountain that I have yet to name. I have not named this peak yet. It's not a very tall peak per se. You know, it only sits at 383. Whereas if we go over to this peak over here, it sits quite a bit higher. It sits actually a lot higher. If I could get to its height, there we go. So this sits a lot higher at its tallest point, which I believe is right here. Yeah, so 1430 meters, which is 4,691 feet tall. So actually that's shorter than Mount Washington, which Mount Washington sits about 6,000 feet above sea level. But I believe this peak is more prominent because Mount Washington, I believe, is, you know, its base is still well above sea level, where this base of this mountain sits at sea level. You know, so to me it's much more impressive because you get the full aspect of the mountain versus just a partial. Looking off this way, I mean, you know, that's a pretty impressive peak. It's a PIP, pretty impressive peak. So it sits over here. and it is the more notable peak on the island. As you can see here, this may have been an old magma crater. This may have been a forming volcano that never quite made it out of the side of the mountain. Um, it just didn't quite come to fruition. Just for several kind of lava bulges on the side of the mountain as peaks began to form. That's kind of a lot how these volcanoes work, as I'm kind of looking into, a lot how the volcanoes in Iceland works, and a lot of how the topography there goes. Like, I compared this section earlier right here. This kind of large cliff face that sits right here on the way over to this unnamed town, which I need to fix this in some capacity and do some work on it, and kind of I don't particularly want the wall to be all the way at the ocean. I'll have to figure that out, because I need to get that drug through as well as the road. And I'll have to build a town over here and figure it out. Just a little town, not a whole lot going on. I might have a industrial spur that comes off of it, I don't know. Maybe service a couple of industries in town. But yeah, just kind of pulling the line along. But anyways, so but we're trying to get these two lines connected, because this is the line that runs to Narvik. So I need to kind of connect the two, because we have the line to Narvik, and then we have the line that's going to break off and head or continue on this way. It's going to continue on and work its way around, which might be a problem here, just because there really isn't a whole lot of room. And you can't really cross, because there's no way to get around it. So it's going to be kind of interesting how I'm going to get the rail line through here, because there's not a lot of room between ocean and mountain. As you can see, the road's kind of up there. So it's going to be kind of a weird little thing going on over here. And then just kind of continues on. And I think what's going to happen here is the rail line's going to actually come this way. And then it's going to kind of swoop around this mountain, because, I mean, there's no sense in going around or that way around it. But then we're seeing here some of the other peaks, which I don't think are... Yeah, these peaks aren't as tall. Barely 1,000 meters. Just shy of 1,000 meters. So these are some of the other peaks that sit here on the island. Though impressive, but not the main peak, which actually I'm going to rename that one, because I believe it's Smelta Deka Fjell, which is Molten Top Mountain. That's just gorgeous. That's beautiful. But I kind of want to rename it. I don't really want it to be called that. I kind of want something, just something different, not that. As you can see here, just some other kind of like potential would have been volcanoes. That's a lot of how the terrain here in Iceland works. Is sometimes you get these little hills right here. This probably was a volcano. I mean, all these were volcanoes in some capacity. I believe like that's a dead giveaway. Yeah, so so we gotta kind of continue on and continue to build things as we go. There's islands out here and whatnot, and then I kind of have to. I might talk to I'm gonna have to see something about this coastline here, because I gotta work with these mountains here, and I don't want to ruin them, but I'm gonna have to kind of figure something out. There's a lot of mountains here that gotta kind of come down, because I gotta kind of create the shape of the island as it kind of ends over here. So I'll figure it out, and then on top of that, I still have to kind of build Castine, which sits down here. This is the where Castine would have sat, or still sits. Um, this would have been the government house of Castine. But I kind of need to figure out how I'm building the town and whatnot. Because I really haven't put a ton of thought into that. I also need to figure out where the actual port of Castine is going. Because this town does require a port, which I believe is going to be over here-ish. To see how this all works out. Probably like up in here. The problem is that the landscape is so interesting that there is no real good area for a port, except maybe up in here. Which actually, this probably wouldn't be too bad. But I do need to figure that out. Where is the port of Castine? Oh, that's nice. So, just kind of need to figure that out as we go along. There's some short line railroad here in the U.S. you should make. Which one is that? I don't know how long ago you sent that. Didn't quite see your message there, David, so my apologies. I was kind of busy not looking at the chat. But we'll pop back in here. Yeah, excuse me. Yeah, so we're kind of just working on this large-scale mountain, which will be the bigger mountain here on the settlement island, which I don't actually think I've properly named this island. Now, there is something that I did kind of think about originally. If I had just gotten this dem and nothing else, and I only had the dem to originally work off of, I would have never built this secondary island. Because originally this was all supposed to be the mainland, and this river was supposed to go all the way into, but it wasn't going to happen. I kind of fudged the history a little bit. Because originally this was all supposed to be connected. I mean, I could, in theory, connect this all and just wipe out the ocean and just say, fuck it. And then if I want to have a port here, I could just have the river come along and then snake by these towns. I didn't want that. I kind of wanted this bigger, kind of natural bay area, this kind of nice port, and so on and so forth. I didn't particularly want it all to be connected, which, funny enough, there's actually 3 missing pieces right there. I'll fix that, I guess. Where did those go? I guess I'll plop them in. Huh. It's kind of weird. Well, that actually shouldn't be too hard to fill in. Yeah, that won't be too hard. Yeah, so let me see here. I'd also had the airport somewhere. There it is. I need to put that airport in somewhere. Like, that airport has to come in. I'm also just going to go ahead and place textures. Not sure if you're still watching, David. I understand if you're not, but what is that route that you were going to suggest? I broke the game, shit. Oh, no, I didn't. then I'll go back on afterward and kind of fix the lighter grass texture that I have. So I think this kind of fits, this darker grass texture. I think it kind of fits with what I'm looking for. Then I'll go ahead and kind of just fill in the island with it. I am going to kind of taper off the mountains here on the settlement island as well to kind of not make them so prominent. Because, I mean, there is this large mountain. But I also do kind of want... I do kind of want mountains kind of running down the center part, at least notable hills to kind of divide it, or at least something. Particularly I want some hills here, and then I want this kind of river to kind of end towards here, maybe like a lake or something. The river is only kind of wide through here because of the dam, but predominantly this river was very narrow and such, as it kind of snaked its way through Trondheim. But over time, because of the dam, it's gotten a little wider. But upstream here, it's kind of narrower, and it's going to kind of switch back a little bit more, and then end closer to this larger mountain. And of course, as time goes on, I will include more textures. I'm just kind of putting in the base textures right now, just to kind of show what's going on here. Like I'm gonna, put some rocky textures there to kind of show a cliff face. Exposed rock anyways. But right now I just want to get the textures down just so we can not look at grid. Because this would be most of the base textures around the island, and so on and so forth. Because again, I think this is the best fit. There's not a lot of vegetation difference or variation throughout the island. Particularly, it's kind of the same, kind of some tall grass. I think there was a introduction to Alaskan. I think it's lupin. Let me see. Where's my Kaldvann note? Yeah, it's been a while. Yes, so Alaskan lupin, yes, is the national plant, the flower anyways. That was introduced similar to Iceland because there really wasn't any vegetation here. So it was very hard for any good soil to take place. So various different kinds of plants might be introduced that aren't common here, but Alaskan lupin I know was introduced to Iceland, and it's a bit controversial in its existence just due to the fact that it's not native to Iceland. But they needed it to kind of help with soil retention and keeping the soil from eroding, because they really didn't have any actual plants in Iceland. And some people love it. They enjoy having actual color in their country versus just kind of barren wasteland. It actually is helping like plants establish and grow in Iceland, because again the wind comes along and blows everything away, but with the lupins and stuff like that, it actually is able to help grow roots and help things from blowing away in the strong breeze. Yeah, so I will need maybe some flowers to plant. Maybe, I don't believe there's going to be a seasonal flower that I can use, but Oh, excuse me. Oh, excuse me. But amongst other things, when I do have a little time or the the actual will to do so, I do type up some history just so that is available and going. And I do, like I said, I want to present some of that history to you guys and be able to talk some about it. Because history is a big thing for me. That's something I greatly enjoy. Uh, but so eventually the plan is once this project kind of gets done, I would like to kind of use it as a base to do a YouTube series with, and kind of presenting Kaldvann's history in a cinematic form through through this game to kind of share what goes on in this country. And I might have to edit some things or maybe change a scene to showcase what I'm talking about. Um, one thing I want to do is kind of create a layer that I can turn on and off that would allow me to um, kind of turn off the modern side of Kaldvann and just have a base side of Kaldvann. I'll figure that out later on, or maybe just do a session or something. But be able to go back in time through Kaldvann, and I might later on just go through and yeet all of Trondheim and any establishment here, and just create Kaldvann as it is in the wilderness. Um, Not this edited area with all sorts of railroad edits and all this stuff, just so it can be seen what Kaldvann would have looked like before settlers, and as the settlers arrived and as the settlers started to grow. I don't particularly think assets are available, but I can definitely make some things work. Um, Particularly, how to represent the voyage, the Orkinger voyage, and whatnot. And then just people arriving and stuff, and it's going to be kind of a lot of still scenes and whatnot, but things will be kind of happening, and as I talk along and whatnot. But looking at the history right now, we're starting to get some people. We're starting to get some names of important people that we're coming to this new land. We have our Sven Eriksson, the founder, the one who launched the voyage, put forth the voyage, and going forth. I believe the other name that I have. I have another person here. Let me see. Where is his name? Ah, yes. Halmar Amdal. He was a farmer. And if I go back here, if I talk about the first months, so I'll actually kind of read what I have for the time being. So the first months, settlers began making quick work of the land, constructing houses, shops, and farms along the mouth of the river. the settlers began referring to as the Nine Adelva. So if we come here, or wherever the hell it is, if we come here, the settlers, when they first arrived to Trondheim, would have landed over here. They would have landed at the mouth of the Nine Adelva. And of course, this wasn't here. That's a man-made breakwater to prevent the waves from coming up into the mouth of the river. But the boat probably would have sailed to about here-ish. It probably would have sailed to about here, and a boat would have made its way towards shore. The original landing point of Kaldvann, or the Trondheim settlement, has long been debated. I will get the buildings kind of just showing. My computer's going to take a shit here in a second. The actual landing point of Kaldvann has been questioned upon, but the first landing point would have been over here on the, I believe this is the east side of the Nine Adelva. But the dwellings would have been on either side, predominantly here in the Rosenborg's neighborhood, as well as the what is now referred to as the Old Harbor, or the Old Industrial District of Trondheim. But this would have been the kind of original settling area of the colony and the city. As you kind of worked your way along the river, houses would have been kind of built up alongside it. They would have really haven't strayed too far away from the river, but even some houses were to be reported to be constructed what would be downtown Trondheim in the actual city itself. But houses, shops, farms were constructed along the mouth of the river. Dwellings were typically made of the resources around them, such as timber for the original settlement island was thick with pine and birch forests. So upon arriving here, there actually was quite lush forest on this end of the island. There were quite a bit of pines and birches that occupied the area around here. Homes were largely single level, with thick mud and clay packed between the gaps of the logs to provide some insulation in anticipation for cold winters. The houses predominantly were built modestly, only being single level, though some from the more harder working would include basements or even a second level. Most who brought their trade skills with them would either use their homes as their storefronts or would have smaller shacks built to the side of their houses to store wares for future business. With small but steep hills nestled all around the landscape, some homes were built into the side of these hills. These homes would be better suited to keep a family warm during the winter and cool in the summers. It would be more costly to construct, though, as one would be tunneling into a hillside to build their home, so not many were constructed initially. So originally around here, there were a lot of hills, very short but very steep hills that kind of dotted the landscape going around. That predominantly have been leveled and removed as the city kind of expanded. A lot of them were leveled as they were just too short to really do anything with, and as time passed by, there was just the need for expansion preceded the need for the hill, and so the hill was removed in favor of more construction. The fill could be used elsewhere to help out with X, Y, and Z, but even alongside the river here, houses were kind of nestled into the hills. In the original before Fort Johan Carlson went in, there was actually houses that would be into the side of the hill here. And similarly with this area of Rosenborg, there would have been houses built into this hill, which was leveled and fortified back then. This would have been where very prominent members of the community would have lived way back when, was up here in this community, as this was more fortified. It was raised up above the rest of the community, but there were some of the houses that were built in the hillsides would have been constructed here in Rosenborg, which now today are long gone, as expansion kind of took over.
Twinkle
Oh?
toad cock-sucking cat.
Oh. Okay. Just gonna keep pushing along. Being amongst a very small population meant that each homestead was entirely responsible for supplying themselves with food. Each household would establish farms to grow crops to sustain their family members through the year, and with the hopes of putting food into reserve storage if able. Hi, Kitty. Arriving in late May, it was vital that crops were planted immediately to assure food would be available by the earliest around fall time. Most settlers were anxious about the quality of the soil and if it would be of some fertility to provide a decent enough harvest. With no accurate way at the time to determine this, most settlers took to the land to try their luck. Most crops were planted by a man named Halmar Almdahl alongside his homestead on June 13th, 1586. Amdahl would lead the way and assist others with their crops throughout the first months and going forward into the future. He suggested planting potatoes immediately, as they could be harvested as early as 8 days, or I think I meant weeks. Yeah, 8 days doesn't make a whole lot of sense. That meant to say weeks.
Thinking in terms of farm sim there, bud.
Wait, hold on. Now I put AD. I did not see my Y. Planting potatoes immediately as they could be harvested as early as 80 days after planting. Though typically cool weather plants, and with seeds being planted between March and May, Amdahl considered the potatoes to be a staple crop and the most hardy for the environment they found themselves in. And with the ability to do well in most soils, the potato would suit the best for the first seeds to be planted, considering very little was known about the soil type. The first crops were laid down in early to mid-June, so Amdahl was taking a gamble on the success of not only his own farm, but his fellow settlers as well. He also suggested onions, beans, cabbage, and barley to be planted immediately, as commonly these were crops planted in the spring, with harvest following in the fall. Beans, though not as widely available in the beginning, could be grown quicker than potatoes, seeing harvest as early as 50 days. But as stated, not enough seeds were brought from Norway for most residents to get their hands on, so beans were not quite as common from the get-go. And I think the final portion of that I wrote was about the concern of livestock, but my cat needs some pets, so I have to pet him real quick. The Toby demands. The Toby receives. Oh, so much floppage. Toby, are you a cat? Oh, yes. What are you gonna do? Huh? What are you gonna do? What are you gonna do? What are you gonna do? I'm gonna pick you up. Oh, he does not like the pickup.
Saber, god damn it.
Oh, there goes Sean's bastard cat again. Now, livestock was also another concern that Amdahl had raised before even setting foot in the New World. Goats, pigs, and chickens were brought along for the initial voyage, but though in not great quantities. He stressed that the amount of livestock brought along would not be sufficient to keep the settlers' supplies for longer than a year at best. Fishing would be required to keep proper nutrients up and just supply the population with a form of meat to consume. Amdahl would approach Sven Eriksson about dispatching his crew and ship back to Norway to acquire more supplies as well as proper livestock such as beef cattle, as that's what they were truly lacking, and that is where I've left off from the last time I wrote. So, a lot of the crops that were planted early on were really people just taking a gamble on how the soil type was over here, because again, you go back to the 1500s, there was no real good way of determining a soil's fertility. As families generally had worked farms that had been worked for generations. We didn't have a lot of the modern knowledge that we have here today. So they weren't really able to sit down and go, oh yes, this soil is very fertile. The only way you found that out was, trying your luck. And the settlers here in Kaldvann were taking quite a gamble, and especially considering their voyage arrived in June, whereas most of these crops need to be planted by May. But as time would go on, being volcanic soil, it is very rich in nutrients. Actually, some of the better soil to be planting crops on. So as long as the volcano is not erupting, I found that if a volcano is erupting, your crops generally don't do very well, especially if in the path of the volcano. Sean, that's a farming sim tip for you right there.
Okay.
If there's ever a erupting volcano, you should not plant your crops immediately in the path of the lava. Not good for crops.
Are you sure?
Positive. There's actually a farm in Iceland that's getting taken out right now. They actually said the building the land that's being covered by lava actually could have been the first farms in Iceland, I believe it was said, um, and where a lot of fishing and just the first people that lived in Iceland and occupied it would have gathered. So that sucks.
Oof.
Guess that's no longer a national heritage site. Because now you can't get to it because it's under lava. Volcanoes, man. What a bitch.
Volcanoes.
Yeah. But yeah, so if you're ever in Farm Sim and you find yourself in a...
Oh, hey there, baby boy. What are you doing? Are you being a bastard? Oh, you are.
Yeah.
Do I smell like beef jerky?
I don't know, do you?
Oh, I think my hand does.
Does your cat like beef jerky?
I don't know what the fuck he likes. He's just in here being a fat ass, dumb ass cat.
You're really just going ham on this cat tonight. Holy shit.
Well, he's being a little bastard. Look at him.
I can't look at him. Oh, wait, we're looking at him. Shit. Alright, face cam reveal for Sean in case he hasn't already done that. Oh yeah, there he is.
Saber.
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 Oh.
Dipshit.
He likes the box. Let him like the box.
He didn't like the box yesterday.
Well, he likes the box today.
Like when I got the box and I took my amp out of the box, I that night I brought the cat in here. Like I thought to myself, like, hey, it's a box. Cats like boxes, right? And so I attempted to put him in the box to appreciate it. And when I attempted to put him in the box to appreciate it, he got very, very angry.
Well, now he's investigating the box. Notice his tail is kind of slowly swishing around and lowered, and he's very cautiously moving.
That's the sign of a bastard.
Now, he's just investigating, but, you know, if
I
that's what...
know he's investigating, but it's just a bastard.
He's bastardigating.
Bastardating. Bastarmating.
No, bastardigating.
No, bastarmating.
Oh, Jesus Christ, Sean. We've already shown a swastika, we've talked about some other things, and now we're talking about a cat bastardigating. I think my channel's getting taken down at some point. But yes, that's, while Sean's looking at his cat while it's bastardigating, I'm gonna just keep going. Sean and his weird interests, I guess. I just realized I probably should eat at some point.
Yeah.
It's recommended, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
I don't have a lot to eat here. And I'm getting a lack of motivation. Oh yeah. So my race earlier, by the way, I failed to mention that. So I raced tonight at Atlanta. You know, just because I'm not at work doesn't mean don't get to think about Atlanta, I guess. So Atlanta's usually one of my better tracks in pretty much all NASCAR games. I've done fairly well at Atlanta. So I got a good setup and stuff like that, which originally I wasn't going to use because the car was pretty loose, but I did some practice laps and I learned how to kind of control the car and, you know, as the car went on, kind of how to keep it, you know, woed up and, you know, so on and so forth. So, so start the race. I had originally qualified 24 without that setup, so I started the race 24th. Got off to a pretty decent start. And actually had worked my way from 24th up to first, and then before the first round of green flag pit stops could occur, someone spun out.
Nice.
You know, tires wearing out. It's a fast track, but it eats your tires. Which actually, they just raced Atlanta this Sunday in the real world. And the surface at the track is so old that the cars actually tore up a chunk of the asphalt on the surface.
Damn.
And they had to they're actually going to repave it, but I guess they're going to reconfigure the track too and make it a super speedway, so it's going to be like Daytona, I guess. I don't know. Anyways,
Saber, are you trying to get yourself stuck in there?
Yes. But
Damn it! I tried to get my camera on him before he jumped up, but like the front half of his body was under there.
Jesus.
What a fucking wild ass dumb motherfucking up people. Fuck.
Anyways, while you're swearing at your cat, so go in first round of green flag pit stops. I needed an adjustment. I took off some grill tape because my car. The only issue with my setup, and then I realized, was that my car was pretty much redlining in fourth gear. That my gear setup was good for running quick, running fast in the corners. But down the straightaway, I didn't have a lot of speed, but I could get everyone in the corners because everyone's tires were falling off. Even though mine were falling off, my car was designed to just go left. And that's it. It was set up to just turn left.
Oh, I scratched your butt.
Oh, you guys' butt. Oh, that's nice. So we get out. I'm in sixth, and my car is also not very quick off the line. But again, I get everyone in the corners. That's where I do a lot of my passing. So I get going and I fall behind. Well, because my car was already warmed up, I figured by taking a round of grill tape off the front that my car would cool down. No, it started overheating, which then, I pushed it, and then I was trying to milk it, but then I was losing too many spots, and I hammered it. Well, my engine performance decreased, and I was actually damaging the engine. So I came in under green flag, I got most of the grill tape taken off, and then I got some engine work done, and I went a lap down. Got back out, I was considering fuck this, I might just quit, because, I don't really want to, if I'm going to race a race, I'm going to want to do well. I don't want to spend a couple hours racing a lap down, especially if it's just me playing a game. But I'm like, what, I'll see it through. So it actually, because I had gotten my tires changed also while I was in the pits, even though my performance of the engine didn't fully get repaired, I was still down on performance. I was still performing better than the other cars because I was on better tires, and I was still set up to do well in the corners. So I actually got my lap back, and then I believe, I want to say a caution came out, another caution came out going late into my run, because I was looking at it and I was like, okay, I'm going to have to make a green flag pit stop soon. And I'm like I'd worked my way back up to 20 something. But, there were some cars that had rotated through their green flag pit stops, and they didn't need to pit when the caution came out. So they were on older tires, but they didn't need to pit because they were good on fuel and they didn't want to break their pit cycle. Because short pitting can be pretty detrimental. So I came in pitted, so the cars that were all in front of me were on technically older tires. So I started racing again and clawed my way back from 37th to ultimately, by the last few cautions, to be up to first place. So came in, I pitted early, and then I got back out in the track, and before I could kind of start working my way back up in the pack, another caution came out. Now, again, a lot of the cars that were in front of me, or well behind me at this point, or just, had already pitted. But I was on older tires than everyone else because I had pitted sooner than everyone else, so my performance was going to be less. Though later in the run, I could still perform better than everyone because my tires, and the way my setup was configured, I could still perform well in the corners, which is where everyone would struggle. Because their tires just falling off, they have no grip. So I actually, with about, I think it was 17 to go, I short pitted and got fresh tires. Everyone else stayed out, except the cars that absolutely needed to pit that were a couple laps down. And about 7 or 6 laps to go, I took the lead back and ultimately won the race.
Nice.
So a lot of the race was nice because on the the console, so I used to play this NASCAR game on the Xbox 360. It was something bugged with Atlanta that you would have like 50 cautions in a race. Because the AI could just not figure out how to race this track. And I could still see that was evident here. That the AI was just struggling, especially with their tires. But there was enough cautions to be realistic, and the cars handled it in a realistic aspect to where, yeah, they were struggling, but they weren't constantly wrecking. And if they were, it was pretty believable. But it was actually some good strategy on my part, to sit there and go, all right, 17 to go, I'm up front, and if I pit now, I'll have fresher tires than everyone else, and I'll be, good to go. I can top off on gas. I don't need to, but I will, just in case the race goes long. But everyone else in front of me is probably not going to pit because they already had come in and they're on relatively decent tires. So there's no reason for them to come in. Plus, they're all in good spots, so why gamble? Me, on the other hand, I'm going to take the gamble, and I'm going to come and get fresher tires, knowing fully well that by the time we're in, 10 or 5 laps to go, everyone else is going to be struggling for performance as they go into the corners. So I can easily catch the leaders going into the corners. And plus, as some of the lapped cars are struggling and checking up, they're going to be slowing everyone else down. And, well, sure as shit, it paid off. So I'm pretty happy. Though my performance, I did not gain any new sponsors. I still only have Goodyear and then, of course, my Canadian National car, which, that's what I raced and it looked good. I will also have to say this is the first race where I did not hit the wall once. Actually, no, I take that back. I did hit the wall once, but it was at a slow speed because a car slid up the track and it came to a screeching halt. I love tapped it and the wall. But no damage to my car, so I was pretty happy.
Oh, that's good.
And like I said, the Canadian National car just looked... It looks damn good.
Damn it.
Yes?
I try to catch him going in there again. Saber, why are you like this?
'Cause he's Saber.
Ain't that the fucking truth?
I just calls it like I sees it.
If I tipped the base box on its side, he would probably love that shit. Hey, don't scratch the poster, you little mashing, brashing, good for nothing. Oh, you're being friendly. Come here.
Sean, your cat just makes you bipolar.
He is bipolar.
I meant you, but okay. We'll stick with him.
Listen, life imitates art, man imitates cat.
Oh?
Saber, quit trying to eat the door hinge.
Saber, eat the door hinge.
Hey, Jaden.
Yeah?
Fun fact.
Mm?
Door hinge rhymes with orange.
Very good, Sean. Did you just double finger snap me? And then give me the finger gun?
I double finger gunned you, bud.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah, artist recreation.
Hold on, I need it one more time. Get the fuck out of here.
Stop calling the fucking poster.
Anyways, before I have to go shoot Sean, I'm hungry. It's 1:55, so I think we'll wrap the stream up here because I know for a fact no one is particularly watching. Actually, David is watching.
Stop touching the fucking poster.
And no, David, I have already told you before, I cannot do a tour update because there's nothing done on the route because I haven't worked on it since the last time I was here. I will do a tour update when I'm good and ready. And that will be not for a while because everything you see here is literally all I'm working on. Everything else is just a blank dem. Pretty similar to another blank dem. Because, I'm just the man of blank dems. And I think looking the other way was much more impressive than looking this way, so we're going to look back to this way. Ah, yes, city. Look at that, Sean. That's impressive.
What are you doing?
I'm showing off, the town. Oh wait, you're talking to your cat, aren't you?
I mean, I am, but I'm proud of you, buddy. You're doing good.
Thanks. I built a town.
Yeah.
Oh, you're rubbing on my legs. What are you doing?
But anyways,
What are
so
your motivations?
this is someone's dying. It happens, truly. But anyways, this is where I will leave you all as someone is dying in Biddeford. So I do appreciate you guys watching, and Sean for joining and showing us his cat. Hopefully I'll get another one done here soon. Hopefully, as my motivation maybe comes back, I can start working on Kaldvann. Someone's dying still. Give it a second.
EMS to the police department, 39 Alfred Street, for an evaluation.
Okay, someone's potentially dying. We're not sure. Someone's in custody and dying. That sucks. But anyways, so, like I said, this is where I will leave you all. Do comment, rate, subscribe. Do consider checking out Sean's channel. You never guess the name. Sean Dean. So go check that out. He has some videos there. He occasionally streams the Carabasset. Occasionally. Very occasionally. So yeah, I'll talk to you all in the next one. Take it easy.